The sister of a man convicted last year of hiring a friend to kill his parents is speaking out for the very first time. Erin Pettit has stood by her brother Brandon from the very beginning and insists that he is innocent. Erin Moriarty has the story and a preview of this week's 48 Hours.
On August 8, 2013, Erin Pettit received some horrific news.
The lead detective called me. He said, there was a fire. Your parents didn't make it. I just started hysterically crying.
But her parents' deaths were no accident. Police determined that Scott and Janet Pettit had been shot a total of 7 times, and the fire was a cover. And then Erin got the news that her little brother, Brandon Pettit, then 25 years old, was charged with the murders, along with a friend, Felix Valverde.
I think I just started to hyperventilate and was like, I don't even know what's going on.
Is there any physical evidence that ties your brother to the murder?
No.
Police and prosecutors believe that Brandon paid Felix to commit the crime. The alleged motive? To inherit his parents' money, so he could start a ritzy new life with Sarah Wilson, a woman he knew from high school. Wilson testified for the prosecution.
He had mentioned that his parents were going to buy him $1 million home in Georgia, and he said that I can move in with him.
Brandon also sent her a text just hours before his parents were found dead.
I got a text out of nowhere from Brandon saying, "You're getting a boob job for Christmas, LOL."
There is no DNA, there are no fingerprints, there is no blood. But what you do have here is a litany of statements and actions that point to Brandon.
Mary Fulginiti is a former federal prosecutor and CBS News consultant whom we hired to analyze the case.
He referred to his parents as and that he wanted his dad dead.
But Martha Carlton Magana, Brandon's former defense attorney, points out that Brandon has been diagnosed with Asperger's, which is an autism spectrum disorder.
He doesn't act the same way as you or I might act.
You have no emotional response. Did you want me to break down and cry? Because I don't normally cry.
Autism is the reason that they became convinced that he was guilty, and it's the reason in the end he was convicted.
All right, so Erin is joining us now. I have so much to ask you, and I know we're not going to have enough time. But so if Brandon is innocent, then who does the defense believe wanted to kill his parents?
Well, what's interesting about this case is all the physical evidence points to Felix Valverde. He has pleaded not guilty in this case, but in fact, the reason why the defense believes this is that, as we have told you, Brandon has been diagnosed with Asperger's, which is on the autism spectrum, and he had a hard time making friends. So all his life, by all accounts, he would tell tall tales. He would exaggerate things. He would talk about the money that his parents had. He would promise, as you heard, very expensive gifts to friends. And the defense believes that Felix Valverde, if he did committed it on his own, thinking that there would be a lot of money in Brandon's home.
You know, the fact that he is on the autism spectrum and has Asperger's, I think, is a very interesting component to this case. I think that a lot of people come to the conclusion that perhaps people on the spectrum don't feel emotion because they don't show it in the same way, but it doesn't mean they're not feeling it. Can we talk about how important that component of this case is?
Well, I think it's everything, Anne-Marie. I think, that is what has troubled me from covering this case from the beginning. We don't often have a defendant who has been diagnosed, and he was as a teenager, with Asperger's, which is now just part of the autism spectrum disorder. And so it's made me think, can you actually get a jury of your peers? All the evidence against Brandon, as you'll see in this case, revolves around his actions and his words. And there's no question that Brandon does not always act or say things that are appropriate. You'll hear that through the hour. You also see him, though, being very strong with the police that he had nothing to do with this. So you're concerned that you have 12 jurors who are trying to do their job, but they are like the rest of us. We tend to judge other people by how we would act under the same circumstance. And the truth is, Brandon Pettit doesn't always act appropriately or doesn't act like everyone else under the same circumstances. You raised such a good point, Anne-Marie. One of the big reasons why he was even a suspect from the beginning was he showed no emotion. And yet, on the other hand, according to his sister, he was very close to his parents. He has a tattoo that says, family. And so I think it's very difficult for the jury to try to get into his head. And then complicating this, just to make this case more complicated, Felix Valverde, he was supposed to go on trial with Brandon. We might have known what really happened. But right before that trial, Felix Valverde, in a very rare finding, was found incompetent to stand trial. So the man who may have done the killing is unavailable to the defense to explain any kind of contact he had had with Brandon Pettit. This is complicated and sad.
I know sometimes you can't get into some details of the case, but do you know on what grounds he was found incompetent?
No, that's what's so awful. Felix Valverde is not speaking. His attorneys are not speaking. This is very private health information. Absolutely. And it happened right before the trial. It is so troubling to me that his trial was not held. I understand it had already been delayed 7 years. So I understand, but as a reporter, I have huge questions about this case.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Another fascinating case, Erin. I quite frankly feel like we could have a whole conversation about people on the spectrum and the criminal justice system, from interactions with police to the courts to the quality of life behind bars. That is for another day. This sounds like a fascinating 48 hours. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Anne-Marie.
So you can watch Erin's entire report on 48 Hours tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, only on CBS.